Right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let's go ahead and settle in to a nice comfortable seated position. Sukhasana. Finding that length in our spine as we close our eyes and turn our attention inward. Connecting with the breath. Beginning to draw it in and out through the nose. Begin to activate your core, tucking that belly button up and in, and finding a little more length in the spine. Releasing any tension in the face. Smoothing out the forehead, relaxing the jaw. Your shoulders relax down, away from your ears. Continuing that deep abdominal breathing, drawing that oxygen all the way down to the lower areas of the lungs. Your belly inflates. For the next few breaths, see if you can feel a moment of lightness. Even with everything going on, the core tucked, the crown rising, the shoulders dropping, see if you can find that space in between, that moment of lightness. Gently allowing your eyes to open. Let's go ahead and interlace those fingers all the way to the webbing, pressing the palms forward, elbows in. Inhale, palms up, and shoulders drop down away from the ears. Keep pressing those palms up and back. Take the moment here to really feel your breath inside the rib cage. As your ribs expand out away from the spine with the inhale and back in towards it with the exhale. One more deep breath in. On your exhale, releasing the hands. One more time, opposite cross. Awkward pinky on top, palms forward, elbows together. Inhale up. And shoulders down with the exhale. Keep pressing up and back. Chest draws forward. Exhale, release. Go ahead and switch the cross of your legs. Take that awkward cross or the less natural cross, I should say. Inhale, lengthening again through that spine. Exhale, begin to walk your hands forward, leading with the chest. Breathing into the fold, into the back body here. for a breath or two, let's release in the head and neck, allowing the forehead to drop towards the ground. Inhale, walking yourself back to center. Let's go ahead and straighten those legs. Go ahead and roll each thigh in. And in so, maybe scooping a little bit of flesh out from behind your sits bones. Finding that place with those thighs rotating in where the big toes can point straight up. Go ahead and find that length in the spine first, drawing the crown up. See if you can create just a little extra space between each and every vertebra. Beginning to walk the hands forward into a fold. Again, leading with the chest for the moment, waking up the body, the backs of the legs. And then begin to release in the head and neck. Forehead goes towards the thighs. On your next inhale, begin to press back up to center. Taking a couple twists here, the left leg comes across to the right side of the body, right sole of the foot hits the mat. Always lengthening in the spine first with your inhale. On an exhale, wrapping the leg and twisting. Your right arm comes behind for some support. And this is one of the poses for deeper breathing, for lung health, for increasing lung capacity, helping with any respiratory disorders. So let's take this for a moment here. Really finding some nice deep breaths in this twist. Back to center. Taking your time, switching that cross, left leg, right leg across now. Opposite leg across. Finding that length first, giving that knee a hug. Nice deep inhale, exhale into the twist. On your next exhale, beginning to unwind. Unwinding those legs. One more ground pose. Go ahead and take those legs nice and wide. Again, rotating those thighs inward, finding that tilt in the pelvic bone, lengthening up and out of the spine. Nice flexed feet, thighs pressed towards the mat as you begin to walk your hands forward. Taking those few breaths here, see if you can inch those fingers forward just a little bit more, and then go ahead and release now in the head and neck. Forehead goes towards the mat. On your next inhale, begin walking back up to a nice long spine. Grab behind the thighs, bring those feet in just a little bit, and then support behind your back, opening up through the hip joints. Drop both knees over towards one side and then the other, rotating across the heels. You give just a little effort towards pressing that front knee towards the mat. You should feel a pretty nice stretch there in that hip socket. Just encouraging it towards the mat. Bringing a little bit of active tension into it. Just a couple more times. And inhale to center, drawing the knees all the way in, making your way onto your hands and knees. And spreading those palms, spreading those fingertips wide away from one another. Stacking your joints, knees under hips, wrists under shoulders, finding that nice neutral spine. Go ahead and tuck from here. So not really arching, just that belly button tuck and release. Tuck and release. Tuck and release. Inhale, dropping the belly, tailbone and crown. Go up into cow. Exhale, back into cat. And again, with the breath, inhaling and exhaling. Maybe you continue with a few more cat-cows. Maybe you add a couple circle rotations into it, moving the chest forward over the wrists and then hips back. And as you're ready, coming back to neutral spine. We haven't worked with the wrists in a while, so let's give the wrists a little bit of love this morning, maybe starting with just one hand. So bringing the back of one hand to the mat, See if you can bring the back of the whole hand to the mat, even if you've got to move your body forward. Once that's on the mat, maybe you begin to shift your hips back until you feel a pretty nice stretch, kind of along the back of the wrist and maybe up the side. And moving forward, go ahead and release that wrist. And taking the back of the other hand to the mat. Straightening through the elbow. Finding those little spaces that are harder to get to, that are often neglected. And coming forward to release. One more for each wrist, this time placing the palm onto the mat with the fingertips pointing back towards your body. And this will probably be pretty tight if you haven't stretched it in a while, so your shoulders might be forward for this one. You can begin to shift your hips back, only if it's not peeling that palm back off the mat. Probably feel a pretty good stretch across the front of that wrist. Just go gentle with it. Just come to your edge like any other muscle group. I'm not going for any tears or quick stretching into, just creating a little bit more space there. And release. Last one, other side. Release. Nice work. Bring those knees together, toes together, pressing the hips back, belly to the thighs. Go ahead and take your hands back as your forehead comes to the mat to grab your heels. From here, begin to press those hips up into rabbit, stretching across the upper back, under the shoulder blades, holding those heels, rolling up towards the crown of your head. And placing the hips back down, go ahead, draw those arms out long in front of you now. Forehead comes back to the mat. Pressing through those hands to press those hips a little bit deeper towards the feet. Inhaling back forward onto the hands and knees. Taking a nice back of the shoulder stretch along with a spinal twist, massaging those inner organs. Inhale that right arm up. Exhale, threading it under the left armpit, back of the shoulder comes to the mat, side of the head comes to the mat. Hips are up in the air. Breathing here into the shoulder stretch, spinal twist. Maybe you walk those left fingertips up towards the top of your mat, away from your head. Maybe you walk them a little bit towards the back of the mat. This will deepen the stretch and also deepen the twist. If anything feels like a sharp pain, or a pinch. Please come a little bit out of it or as far out of it as you need to. Child's pose is always a great option as well. Should be a nice stretch, a nice opening. If you took that hand up, beginning to walk it back in front of the face, pressing into it to release that right shoulder. Take that counter pose. Right arm comes all the way up and release to the mat. Other side, left arm up and threading through. Maybe you walk that hand up and back at a diagonal. And bringing that hand back in front of the face. If you took it up and out, pressing it into that right hand, releasing the left all the way up, counter pose for that spinal twist, and returning the hand to the mat. Go ahead, tuck your toes under, hips up and back, first down dog of the day. Take a moment to get into it. Finding a placement for those heels just out of view. Maybe you walk the dog, bending one knee and then the other. And then pressing both heels back, rolling those armpits in, pressing those hips up and back. Chest goes down and back, gazing out behind you. Inhale that right leg up, three-legged dog. On an exhale, bending, crunching, 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 and stepping it through. Finding that nice low lunge. We're gonna rock back and forth just a few times. Double check that front big toe is pointing directly forward. The foot is parallel to the side of the mat. From there, go ahead and drop that back knee to the mat. And continuing to press through the hips. Bringing the hands slowly up to the hips. See that both are shining forward. So keeping that front knee pointing directly in front of you. You probably want to keep dropping that left hip forward. And from there, maybe you reach the arms up. Anjane Asana. Maybe you open out the elbows. On your next inhale, arms come up. Exhale, hands to the mat. Go ahead and shimmy that right foot all the way out to the right. Outside edge of the mat, both hands come on the inside of that right foot, pressing those hips down. Coming into lizard, just working through the hips here. Maybe you roll onto the outside edge of that right foot, the knee falls out to the side. Feel free to add some movement here into the awakening, and maybe you come down onto your elbow. On your next inhale, if you came down onto your elbows, begin to press back up to the palms. From there, you're going to shimmy that right foot back in, framing that foot with the hands. Then beginning to shift those hips back towards Hanuman. You might need to scooch that front heel forward, trying to keep that hip stacked over the knee. Maybe you have your blocks, maybe you don't. Keep drawing that pinky toe back towards your nose. Continuing to work on straightening through that front leg. Breathing into the back of it, dropping that right hip down towards the mat. Pinky toe still coming in towards the nose. Extending that chest out and forward. Just a few more breaths here. On your next inhale, go ahead and begin to draw that heel back if you had to shimmy it forward before coming onto the sole of the foot. Frame that front foot with your hands, tuck those back toes back under, pressing the hips up, releasing that front foot, down dog. Again, taking a few breaths here in down dog, continuing to work through the hamstrings. Inhale that left leg up now. Exhale, crunch, crunch. Step it through. Low lunge. Rocking back and forth. Finding that nice straight front foot. Big toe points directly forward. Placing that back knee on the mat. Continuing to press those hips down and forward. On an inhale, maybe you bring those hands to the hips, rising up. Keep dropping through that right hip. Inhale, arms up, gazing up. Exhale, maybe you open at the elbows, cactus arms. Full expression, Anjaneyasana. Inhale, hands back up. Exhale, placing them to the mat. Left foot shimmies out to the edge. Both hands come to the center, working through those hips up and down. Maybe roll onto the outside edge of that left foot, knee opens to the side. Maybe you're playing here, maybe you come down onto that elbow. Finding that breath here, relaxing through the jaw and forehead. Don't hold on to that tension in the face. Let it go through the breath. If you came down onto those elbows, go ahead and press back up onto the palms. Shimmying that left foot back towards center before pressing the hips back. Again, playing with it. Maybe you shimmy that heel forward. From there, draw your pinky toe back towards your nose. Now we're just working towards straightening that front leg. If you have blocks that want to come up on blocks, you might get that straight leg. Otherwise, just working it towards straight. Keep that flex in the foot. Dropping that chest towards the thigh. Breathing here. Your next inhale, go ahead and draw that heel back if you shimmied it forward before coming onto the sole of the foot. Placing the hands, tucking those back toes under, pressing the hips up and back to release that foot down dog. Rolling those armpits in, hips up and back. Really working through the hamstrings today. One more pose. We'll recure, right leg back up into three-legged dog, and we're coming down into pigeon. So bringing that shin across the front of the mat. Back foot comes to the mat. Maybe you're coming towards parallel. Maybe you're letting that foot angle back towards your body. The closer to parallel, the deeper the stretch. Take a peek back. Is that back leg tracking straight behind you? We're going to work both hips towards parallel to the mat. I'm working in a little deeper, so I will not be making my way down onto my elbows or forehead today. But if you have that foot angled in and you like coming down onto your elbows or forehead, go ahead and do that. Came down onto your elbows or forehead, go ahead and begin to press back up onto the palms, tucking those back toes under, pressing the hips up and back, releasing that right foot, walking the dog out just for a breath or two, releasing the hips in between poses. Inhale, left leg up, exhale, bringing that shin across. Back knee comes to the mat. Again, breathing here, taking your version of pigeon. If you came down onto your elbows, go ahead and begin to press back up. And you make your way back up to your palms. Go ahead, tuck those back toes under. Press those hips up and back to release. Final down dog of the day. Inhale forward, knees come to the mat as you make your way onto your back. Taking your time, rolling down one vertebra at a time. And from your back, soles of the feet come to the mat. Left ankle crosses over right knee. The laying down version of pigeon. Figure four, go ahead and inhale. That right foot up off the mat. And drawing that ankle in towards the chest while pressing the tailbone towards the mat. Getting a little deeper here, letting gravity do some of the work. But keep those hands active. Keep drawing in and keep pressing that tailbone down. On your next exhale, release your right foot to the mat, switching the cross. Left leg comes up, top foot stays flexed, drawing that ankle in, pressing that tailbone to the mat. One more time, switching that cross, left leg over, both knees drop to the right. Option 2, straighten that top. Left leg. Maybe you gaze back over that right shoulder, left shoulder. On your next inhale, coming up through center, crossing both legs over to the left, gazing out over the right. Supine twist, one final little stretch for the spine, one final little massage for the internal organs, bringing them out, detoxifying. Breathing into that release. Inhale up through center. As you uncross, go ahead and bring both legs out long. It's just a moment or two more in class. Tuck those shoulder blades together under the back. Feel that chest open a little bit more as the arms fall out to the sides. Back of the hands fall to the earth, feeling supported. Maybe shake your hips back and forth. Find that nice, even pressure of the mat distributed between both hips. Your feet fall out to the sides. You find that sweet spot at the back of the head. Spine feels long and straight. Taking a couple breaths here. This is a beautiful time to just release control over the breath. We command our breath as we move through the poses of class. This is your time to just allow it to return to its normal rhythm. Next inhale, taking it just a little bit deeper, beginning to awaken back into the body. Maybe you stretch out long with your arms overhead. And as you're ready, bringing the soles of your feet to the mat. From here, with knees bent, go ahead and roll onto one side or the other into a fetal position. And from fetal, beginning to press yourself up, back to seated. Meeting here, just closing your eyes, feeling into the body. Do you feel any more ease or lightness in this seated position compared to arriving at the beginning of class? I'm just taking notice of that in the body. Thank you for showing up for your breath, for your mat, for yourself and your body. Thank you for joining me for class today. Namaste.